It's 1 a.m. Very a.m. I just got to my hotel. It took 5 hours and 15 minutes to get to my hotel. And why am I doing this? Come on, it's me. Well, if it isn't a fine day to take a 320-mile ride on a bike I've never ridden. Let's do it. Alright guys, well, we're just heading out. In front of me is my buddy Jeff, who has been wanting to get a bike for a while and finally picked this one out. We are in, I believe it's called Greensburg, but we rode down here last night to a town called Mount Pleasant. And I am on his new-to-him motorcycle. Jeff used to ride when he was young and now has decided it's time to get riding again. He may never get to ride because we may never get out of this town with all these lights. So we'll come back in a minute. Hasn't gone as smoothly as hoped. So we got to the seller's house at 9. Everyone was right on time. We went over to the tag place, which of course we had verified would be open by checking online, and there was a sign on the door that they were closed, and there was a sign that, you know, go to this notary in the next town over. So we did lose a lot of time. Gassed up right across the street and then got going, and I'm telling you, we didn't go a couple hundred yards and wow, something really feels weird with this bike. It really feels like it's fighting me.
I'm going to put in the GPS first, gas.
Okay. And we did mostly 35 miles an hour on these side roads, and after a couple of miles I was certain there was a problem. This thing is squirrely times 10. It's really fighting me. I don't have any confidence. Google said 40 psi in the back, 33 up front. You know what it actually had? 13 in the back and 10 up front. And I'll tell you, that was the most relief I've had, like, in a very long time, because if that tire pressure was spot on, I'd have looked at him and said, I don't know what we're gonna do. I can't ride this thing. But what an incredible difference. We got that done. I honestly don't know what time it is right now, but it's probably coming up on noon, and we've only gone 10 miles. What we're gonna do is like 1 hour chunks. It comes out to about 5 hours and change. Most of it is going to be highway. I'll tell you what, guys, there is some gorgeous, gorgeous country out here. Southwestern Pennsylvania. We are south of State College, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours southeast of Pittsburgh. And it is farms, rolling hills, mountains in the distance. It is gorgeous out here. This bike is riding like a dream. I thought from everything I read it would be a nice, comfortable riding bike, but I had so many things in my head, like something's going to be wrong, like the seat's going to be wrong, or the suspension, something's going to be off. It feels really nice with the right tire pressure. I feel really confident with this now, and I feel like I could belt out a couple of hours before needing a stop. She is beautiful, man. Beautiful. I don't need to stop for at least an hour from now. I don't need to stop And if you do, fine, but I got at least an hour before I need to stop. It handles beautifully, it's comfortable, it feels just like my Street Glide. I mean, it's not as good because mine's a Harley, but you see the smile on his face. He's nervous. He's buying a bike sight unseen and hasn't test ridden it and all that. He doesn't want to make a mistake. And then I'm like, pull over, there's something wrong. And we get that straight and I pull up alongside him and he's probably like, oh no, what's wrong? And I'm like, hey bud, I don't need to stop. Let's ride, baby. We are good. The Mallow Cup factory outlet. I can't say I ever thought about visiting that. But if I'm ever out here again, maybe I'll stop in. We have done 81 miles, and we just got off an exit for Altoona. So it's no longer a 315 mile trip. It's now a 235. All right, first stretch of the legs. Just had a quick lunch. We're now on interstate the rest of the way. 70 miles per hour speed limit on this one, so that's great. Looking to do at least 100 miles before our next stop. So the thing with the tire, that's my fault. There's no one else that bears that responsibility but me. I got on this bike to ride it. It's my responsibility to make sure it's safe and roadworthy. And I should have checked the pressure right there in his driveway before we left. So, lesson learned on that. But what a huge relief once that was taken care of. And here we are, turning on to Interstate 80 East. I have spent many hours of my life on Interstate 80. We got 140 miles down, about 175 to go. Just continue to be so happy with this trip, with the weather, with the bike, the windshield is positioned perfectly. The trip that I pictured in my mind was actually not as good as what this has been. With about 75 miles to go, we are getting on I-81 North, and it's the home stretch. I feel fine. Just had last pit stop, got some water in me, and looking forward to wrapping this up. The longest I've ever ridden in one day was 321 miles on my Dyna Lowrider. Everyone I told that I was doing this said, I'm crazy. Even Jeff said, I think it's crazy. Riding 5 hours. I think one of the reasons why people said that is because I was going to be on a bike I didn't know and wasn't familiar with. Based on the pictures, what I read about this model bike and everything he told me, I felt comfortable that this was not going to be a problem. I did a lot of mental games of how I would break up this 315 miles. Because I knew it wasn't going to be straight through. And I was joking that it was 4 trips of 80 miles each. And it sort of was. Fortunately, it worked out. I felt that I got acclimated to this bike very quickly. I wanted to do this for the challenge of it, but mostly to help Jeff get his bike. I believe of all the bikes we looked at, this was the best one he could have picked. And I'm really happy that he got it. And knowing how people helped me get bikes in the past, it's really kind of cool that I'm now able to do this for someone else. Big bridge project here. 35 miles out, folks. I have a new record for my longest ride day. 324 miles. Pretty cool. So Jeff, how you feel?
I feel good. I feel grateful. Thank you for, that was a labor of love, Dave.
Someday.
How many miles?
325.
It felt like 500 miles watching you behind me, especially in all that traffic coming back through Scranton and Wilkes-Barre.
What a beautiful bike, and someday you will help someone else bring their bike home. It's 3 days later. I'm back on my own bike, taking a ride to work on a cool September morning. The experience of riding that Kawasaki 325 miles across the state of Pennsylvania was amazing. Definitely something I'm never going to forget. There's time left in the 2023 riding season for Jeff to get familiar with it and hopefully for us to take a ride. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It would definitely depend on the bike. But I have to say, when we rolled in at 6:15, I felt like I could have done another hour plus without a problem. I'd venture to say, with a little bit earlier of a start, I could easily have done a 500-mile day on that bike. So, no regrets at all, and what a great experience. Well, guys, that will do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, see you again soon in another video. Until next time.